It's your boy Troy, and today we'll be discussing a potential Mandalorian game. So hear me out, right? It's a bit hot. I'm thinking with EA's new changes and the fact that they no longer have complete rights over every single Star Wars games, and to be fair, they've done some decent ones. We've seen Battlefront 2, which is amazing, even though they fucked up on the remaster version. I think personally they did okay when it came to sorting it out, and the 2018 version, I think it's 2018, does bang. And Jedi Fallen Order, it has its critics, but that's pretty decent too. But now other publishers and developers can kind of get their hands on the franchise. I think things will be looking up. I know there's a few remasters in line, like the Old Republic. I've never played the Old Republic, let me not even lie. The only Star Wars game I played prior was Lego Star Wars and the Star Wars movie game, which probably lends its hand well into this kind of video, because I generally think it's time for a Mandalorian game. This is my idea, my concept, well, not mine. I'm sure a lot of people are sitting there thinking they want a Mandalorian game too. But for me, the reason why I think it would work is because I think it has a strong narrative. Everyone likes a bounty hunter, let's be real. Hitman's out, we love assassins and all that kind of stuff. But I think what really lends its hand well is, I think there's so many ways you can go with it with the mechanics, because of the way he uses his weapons, the amount of weapons he uses, the potential of villains and a decent story, and everything being in this kind of era where you can explore so much and so much of the hidden Star Wars world. So first, story. I think that's important. Narrative is always important for these games. We've got a decent story. We don't get games like The Last of Us. One, I guess. I know some people are going to get onto me if I say Last of Us 2. That's pretty decent too. God of War, these kind of great narrative games. Sorry, Xbox. These kind of great narrative games that kind of get people playing, talking, exploring different things. And I think a Mandalorian game has the potential to do that. Gotta say it now, it has the potential to win Game of the Year if done well. Because if the series can be that good, I think the story can. But I think they should really work with the TV writers. I don't know if it's been done before, that kind of collaboration. But I feel like if Lucasfilms and Lucas Games combine on a game, the narrative will bang. It will just bang, because the casting was done so well. And what I enjoyed about The Mandalorian was they did really well in exploring different kind of characters. So when you think about, I guess, the robots and the bots and them now being behind the bar when they were banned, background characters like the assassin droid, now a big part and have a speaking role, is really clever, because if you're a big fan of the Star Wars series, they've inserted them in there and they've really remade them for the modern day, and it just works well. And made them behind someone who is iconic. And I think, personally, I think it works well. But I think those two need to collaborate and have those discussions about who can we pick, how do we continue this story, what kind of story do we go down. Casting in the gaming world and outside the gaming world, could we convince some people, look, we want you to voice act in this game. I'm not necessarily saying it has to be the same people. It'd be nice to see some new, or hear some new voices, see some new mocaps as well, especially for people who've used it, or maybe some new people, some up and coming stars. Why not? So long as whoever does the job well, let's just bring them in it. But yeah, I think they have the tools there, and the TV show already lends itself well to how to construct a decent narrative. But what narrative? So the thing with Mandalorian is he has a past. There's a big war that happens. So when I say Mandalorian game, I'm not necessarily thinking of the Mando we see on TV. They could go down the path of a Mando you think of, just a generic one, going through the war. It could be another bounty hunter. The choice is theirs. Me personally, would I prefer a bounty hunter? A bounty hunter will give you more playtime. I think if you can go through different worlds, doing different tasks, and then but along the way of doing these tasks, kind of like the show, you have a massive package or something you have to deliver. It costs money, you got to make some decisions, some hard ones. It affects which kind of way you go. But you have an end goal, which is to deliver some sort of bounty. It could be chasing someone, it could be an elite criminal that you need to cap. Whatever it is, I think it would be dope. Or they can go down, or they can still use that same premise and go down the cyberpunk route. I don't think, the thing with cyberpunk is, alright, I'm not going to go into a rant about it, is the basis of the game works. Whatever's happening around it and all of that stuff, the story and the ability for your decisions, to impact what you're doing makes it a special game. Delivery could be polished, yes. And maybe this is the kind of story we can use to polish that. Whatever bounties you go after, whatever things you do changes the end narrative, and that's something you can discuss with friends or whatever. Because we love that shit. We love to get into that. The what did you do? Yeah, I did this and I ended up here. Wow, I didn't even see that. I did this and I ended up here still. It's nice to have in games, and I think it's a concept that it's opening up more. It's becoming more mainstream than we like to see. I think that works well. Or we can just have it like, do I really want? Yeah, why not? Maybe there is space for a Mandalorian Jedi War, just exploring that story in a way it hasn't been explored before. Where they start and stop is a different thing. If you stop towards the end and the Jedi ones, I don't know. It depends on what they want to do. But it'd be interesting to see some of the wars take place and how the Mandalorians fit in that, and kind of how they can explore that. And I think that will work really well for some of the fights. And maybe some of the wars pre the Mandalorian we see on the TV series, to give a bit of an idea of where they came from. Which I think would be interesting, but I think maybe that's less for gamers and maybe that's more for fans of the show. Depends how well they do that war, because war games are, they can be hit and miss. Like any game, but they're more so than others in my opinion. Gameplay. So, I already mentioned the kind of cyberpunk stuff, but I think there's the mechanics and the core of it can be quite interesting. I think when I was watching the show, what was interesting was his ability to pick up different weapons, learn different skills. Never touched a lightsaber though, but learn different skills, and yeah, it's just the arsenal of things. And the reason why I mentioned Battlefront 2 at the beginning is the way that game works probably lends itself well into kind of Mando, in terms of you've got your guns, some trigger buttons can shoot your torpedoes and such, and maybe you've got that one trigger where your lasery focusy thing comes over your eye and you're shooting out, things like that. Just different ways of exploring, I guess, in my opinion. You could do it the Borderlands way. I think Borderlands is a good template as well if they wanted to go down that route, or kind of an intergalactic space game that's fun. I think 2K as a publisher, I think all the creators involved around it do it quite well. Personally, maybe I don't know if it's too gimmicky. I like it, but maybe it's too gimmicky for Star Wars fans. But I think it lends itself well in terms of button mapping and how the game is played and things you can pick up and do things in order to play. Or because you're a bounty hunter, so just thinking about the bounty hunter aspect, as you can hear, I'm enjoying that. Maybe there is a room for a kind of stealthy, I hate stealth, but maybe there's some room for some stealth because you're a bounty hunter, of course. But maybe there's some room for kind of Last of Us kind of vibes, where you're limited in your resources. You're gonna have to construct things. You're gonna have to think a bit more before you just start letting off rounds. And there's no just like looting for looting's sake and just grabbing lots of stuff. Maybe you just gotta think a bit more methodically. You gotta do things because, oh damn, I need a new gun today for this particular mission, or I've run out of bullets again. I have no more of my blasters, no more rockets, nothing. Now I gotta do some tasks, get some money, buy some things because they run out. If I've done all my tasks, how do I find these things? How do I take down these enemies? What would be my base attack? Who's good at, I guess, hand-to-hand combat, but what else does he have in his arsenal that he can just use that's not unlimited, but is his weapon of choice? And then where would he pick up ammo? I think there's a lot to think about in that side of the gameplay, but again, I think it really lends itself well to what the Mandalorian is about. So gameplay and narrative aside, I think what I'd love to see is just I don't want to see an exclusive. I think it should be a game shared on both platforms. I haven't heard of Lucas games or films looking to just be on one platform anyway, and I don't think they should start now. I think there's too many fans and too much money out there to just be like, yeah, let me just go and stick to an exclusive. I don't even think they should do time personally, but wherever the money resides, I guess that's where they'll be, but that's my opinion. But yeah, I'd be damn excited, guys. I'll probably pay for it before it comes out, and I don't do pre-orders. Damn, that's so sad, you know. I really have my money, and this is just a concept. But it'd be interesting. It would be interesting to see, and it'd be, I think, for fans of not only the show but maybe the series, it'd be interesting to see how they bring in other characters, develop this story, and give a bit of background in their opinion, because everything's their interpretation, but in the kind of George Lucas way, but their kind of interpretation of it, of what the Star Wars story is for Mandalorians, how that looks, how much customization we get, what kind of story they go down. Did they just say, fuck it, let's just do all the stories we can think of? We can do the war, you can do one as a bounty hunter. That's his kind of own thing away from the kind of different Jedi stuff they have going on, which is clever. Do they just think Bantra and all these fans, there's another character in there that we feel that we can develop like they have with the Mandalorian, and they can work together on that? It's an interesting time for Star Wars, man. It's an interesting time for the franchise. I would like to see a Mandalorian game. I would like to know what you think, whether you like to see a Mandalorian game, whether you think it works, or it doesn't work. I think it works, but we can argue if you want. But I'm pretty gonna just stay in my zone here and say, I want that shit. What would you like to see in a game? What kind of game would you like to see? I'm always interested in people's gaming concepts when it comes to Star Wars. Do you think this is a great move? Of course, it's a great move to share the game around. What am I saying? Who would you like to see develop more Star Wars games? That's what I want to know, because I know you think it's great. And yeah, keep it locked in with us.